What comes to mind when you think of southern plantations? Grand white columns, sprawling oak trees, genteel living. For decades, these romanticized images have dominated our collective imagination, but they tell only a fraction of the story. Today, we're peeling back the layers of this sanitized history to reveal a more complex and often brutal reality that shaped America's past and continues to influence our present. When we look at plantation mansions today, we're seeing just 1% of the historical landscape. These grand homes didn't exist in isolation, but were surrounded by slave quarters, work buildings, and fields where enslaved people labored from sunrise to sunset. According to research from the National Park Service, on larger plantations like Nottoway in Louisiana, for every plantation owner there could be hundreds of enslaved individuals whose stories have been systematically erased. The economic engine of plantations wasn't Southern hospitality. It was human exploitation. By 1860, the value of enslaved people in the South exceeded $3 billion, more than all the factories and railroads in America combined. Historian Edward Baptist reveals in his work, "The Half Has Never Been Told," that cotton picked by enslaved labor generated more than half of U.S. export earnings before the Civil War. This wealth creation came at an unfathomable human cost. Daily life for enslaved people varied dramatically from the mythology. Archaeological excavations at sites like the Hermitage Plantation in Tennessee have uncovered evidence of how enslaved people lived in crowded quarters with minimal possessions. Yet, amid these conditions, communities formed. Historian Stephanie Camp's research shows that within the confines of brutal plantation life, enslaved people created their own culture, religious practices, and forms of resistance. That resistance took many forms. While dramatic rebellions like Nat Turner's in 1831 are well documented, everyday resistance was far more common. Archaeologist Leland Ferguson's work uncovered how enslaved people would break tools, work slowly, feign illness, and maintain African traditions in secret, all forms of preserving humanity in a system designed to strip it away. The cultural contributions of enslaved people have shaped American life in profound ways, often left unacknowledged. From agricultural innovations like rice cultivation techniques brought from West Africa to culinary traditions, music, language, and craftsmanship, enslaved people's knowledge and creativity became foundational to Southern culture. The Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History documents how these contributions were often appropriated without credit. What's particularly striking is how plantation tourism historically sanitized this reality. A 2018 study by the Southern Poverty Law Center found that over 90% of plantation sites failed to substantially address slavery in their tours. This is changing, with sites like Whitney Plantation in Louisiana now dedicated specifically to telling the stories of enslaved people rather than just plantation owners. Understanding this complete history isn't about guilt, it's about truth. By acknowledging both the architectural beauty of plantation homes and the suffering that made them possible, we gain a fuller understanding of American history. These aren't separate stories, but intertwined narratives that can't be honestly told in isolation. The next time you see a plantation depicted in media or visit a historic site, look beyond the columns. Ask whose stories are being centered and whose are missing. True appreciation of history requires acknowledging all its dimensions, the beautiful and the terrible, the privileged and the exploited. If you found this deeper look at plantation history enlightening, please share this video to help others see beyond the romanticized veneer. Hit like if you appreciate this approach to American history, and subscribe to USA Oddities for more videos that uncover the complex truths behind familiar American landmarks and institutions. History isn't always comfortable, but understanding it in its fullness is essential.